1, 2, 1, 2. All right, we back in here. Felix Almanzar, District 120. Our God sincere Instro House family. Welcome to the channel. What's the deal? What's going on out there with the people? It's been a little minute. You know, I had some couple things to take care of. But that's the deal. That's how it works. You know what I'm saying? What's been going on out there with y'all? Anyone? What's the deal? What's going on out there? We haven't had, you know, no one's dealt with any new studies. That could be the case. But you know, I got a new channel now. From the root to the fruit. But you know, that channel is a part of a bigger program where, you know, over there, you know, we less entertainment. You know, especially for me. You know, because a lot of times I come on here and you know, different individuals come on and I entertain them because you know, a lot of times it's funny to me. You know, just the various levels of I mean, I guess at the end of the day, you could call, you know, sanity, you know, because that's important. Like, as a person is conceiving of the ideas, right? If as a person is conceiving their ideas on how to apply supreme mathematics, you know, someone who is, you know, kind of emotionally and or mentally challenged, we might see the evidence of that in, you know, the outcomes that they get from the kind of solutions that they come up with when they apply mathematics in their special way. But at any rate, you know, the new channel is, you know, it's a little more specific. You know, this channel was, I guess you know, the idea that I had when I was first establishing this channel was a little bit more that, you know, there was just a lot of things that was going on in this world, right? Meaning online, that was being confusing to the people. You know, we had a lot of, you know, we had the you know, we don't want to, let's not harp on it. But you know, from the, you know, my understanding was that, you know, I had to do something to show that there was a separation between us, right, or that there was no partnership uh, between us and some of the things that people was doing and saying in our name on here. But on this new channel, it's a little more specifically designed for individuals that haven't been exposed to the knowledge. Individuals that, for, whatever reason, whether it's by situation or whether it's just by time and distance or whatever, they can't make it to the root. So on that channel, we're going to be, we educational over here. But we're gonna keep it a little more academic over there. Keep the language a little bit cleaner. Over there, I'm probably gonna need moderators over there because, like I said, we're gonna try to keep the language clean. We're gonna stay away from individuals that carry the conversation way in a different direction. But when the channel starts, we're gonna have some introductory episodes, right? We're gonna have some introductory episodes where you're gonna get to see what that channel is about. But the name of that channel is From the Root to the Fruit. So the channel is I'm gonna be manifesting, but the channel is a part of a bigger program that hopefully everybody can learn from. Felix Almanzar, what's today's topic? I mean, today, really, I was just getting back in the pocket. I had some topics that I wanted to get into, but I was like, you know what? Let's not come back too heavy. But I wanted to talk about a lot of people they want to bring about change. I'm talking about change in the 5%. And it's just a lot of science to that. The conversation was prompted by an individual that he has been trying to introduce levels of change that's kind of unorthodox. In our culture, it's like, okay, that's not normally things that we would think to do. But at the same time, that's what change is about. But here's the thing. Everybody wants to change just their little thing. Like you thinking, I'm just going to adjust this knob this much. But see, that's what balance is. That's what equality is. See, for every action, there's an opposite but equal reaction. And see, depending on how that action and that reaction interact with the rest of reality, it can change everything. Well, no, the lessons is just one aspect. That is every change that when I say change, I mean just that change. It doesn't mean that is for the positive or for the negative, right? You know, people that want to, you know, they got ideas about, you know, what might be a better way forward. And so, you know, you really you gotta understand those things. So you know you want to institute a change, right? But you know sometimes, all right, look, what's gonna have to happen? What's gonna have to happen in order for that change to be made born? You know, are you prepared to destroy what might have to be destroyed in order for that change to come about? See, all those are the things you got to think about. That a lot of times when people come and they say, look, you know, you want to change this, and because a lot of times you get that question. You know, at least from people that want to institute some change, right? You get that question of, you know, why is it so hard to institute some change? You know, again, it's one of those things where, you know, the 5% is put in a vacuum, meaning, you know, it's difficult to institute change anywhere. You know, in anything. You know, for you to change your eating habits. You know, and look, I'm talking about all the way down the line because look, see, we might not have that much trouble with pig, but what about all the stuff that's making your blood pressure high and your diabetes be triggered and all of that? He said, in other words, change is a constant as well as inevitable. Yeah, it is. But now, when you come to be the catalyst for the change, see, like you said, there's some things that was going to happen. But now, if you choose yourself to be the person that brings about that change, see, that's a choice. It's going to be consequences. And see, there is no change, right? Without, you know, consequences don't come in one. You don't you you don't just have negative consequences, and you don't just have positive consequences. See, there's names for that. You know, in the you know, like in the military, they, you know, that's fallout. You know, in the medical community, that's side effects. You know what I'm saying? You know, unintended consequences. But you know, like I said, let's not get into the let's not come right back in the rants. I'm trying to come back. You know, I'm trying to come back in a be jovial. But you know, if people want to explore that topic, right? You know, when this live is over, in the regular comment section, just put something in the comment section about dealing with that. But you know, right now, you know, this right here, a law, power, rule. That's why I put that right there. It's just, you know, that's the goings on right now. See, for me, right? This means that look, now it's time for me to live it out. Did that go over everyone's head right there? Where it said when I said a law, power, rule means now it's time to live it out. Positive Almighty. What's the signs? 793rd S Reeves. Well, I guess we on a little bit of delay. We just coming back. So you know, YouTube probably got the stream. They don't have us in the algorithm where we supposed to be. It's all good though. We do that and build back up. Anyone? Anyone? Did anyone catch that? Is this mic on? That's, what's, what's, what's the what's going on out there? He said both the flow and beat. Oh, you said, well, which you those probably was yeah, I was getting some work done. but check this out though. Check this out, right? And this just a little. But check it out. The first 6 months of the year go from just Allah now to just you now. You see, Allah power rule. Where's that for? Oh yeah, my station is the workout I've been listening. I've been going in. I'm just really getting back to my numbers though. I've been just doing form for the last whatever 6 months, whatever. But yeah, I'm back to putting my numbers. I'm back to putting my numbers up. When I get it back respectable, guess we'll have a little demonstration. But you know what I started doing though? Kettlebell swings. I don't even really have a kettlebell. I got a 25-pound dumbbell. Listen, I cannot explain. I cannot explain just it's I can't explain it. I'm looking for the words to explain, right? How much better, I feel, and my performance and everything is since I started doing that. Yeah, I'm telling you a good thing about me, right? And don't think I did so everybody's gonna act like they already saw that, right? The just Allah now to the just you now. Everybody's gonna act like they already saw that, right? Because I did ask, did anybody notice that the first 6 months of the year go from just Allah now to just you now? But yeah, though, see, I'm like I was saying, see, I'm a picky eater, very picky. So I didn't, I don't really, in terms of diet, it's just not that much stuff that I eat, and most of it is, fairly healthy. Complete. What's the deal? It's been a minute. But this time it's both of us because I haven't been on. When's the last time I've been? It's been about 2 weeks. Shit, I gotta lower my A1C. What is A1C? Like I heard of it, but I don't know what it is. So Felix Almanzar, when you say can you build on that, are you talking about just a lot now to just you now? weekend of excellence. Where's the weekend? The weekend of excellence. That's in South Carolina and North Carolina. I'm doing my prepping too, though. Right now, the Sean Proof is coming. We gotta start. The routine. Gotta make sure the food is there. Gotta make sure the activities for the young is there. See, that's about just Allah now to just you now. That's how I look at my ideas. Like my ideas for the year. You know what I'm saying? That's one thing mathematics allows you to do, right? It allows you to calculate progress. You see what I'm saying? So just like, you looking at road signs when you on the way you going somewhere, right? And they always give you a big city, right? Philadelphia is 100 miles away. And then as you look, you see the signs, Philadelphia is 85 miles away. You know what I'm saying? Philadelphia is this much miles away. So see, for me, it's the same thing when I'm seeing those months go by, right? Because I'm not just spinning my wheels, right? I'm not just going 1 to 30 and back, 1 to 30 and back. No, I'm completing ciphers. Right? That's what each one of those numbers changing. Each one of those numbers changing represent a cipher being completed, right? Whether the cycle of the moon with the months, right? It's the cycle of the planet with the days, right? Or the 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 the, the cycle of the planet around the sun with the year. But have you completed ciphers, or you just spinning your wheels? So now, what you're dealing with is, you haven't gotten nothing off the ground from all that stuff you said you was gonna do at the beginning of the year. Just as an that's the way that I apply that. You see what I mean? And see that when you look at what it says, right? Just Allah now, just you now. So see, you went from that idea, right, of just Allah now to just you now, right? Okay, only you is responsible for how much how much progress that you made on those ideas. You know what I'm saying? And it's the same thing, with years where, uh, if you building on today's mathematics, right, or you dealing with today's degree, and you go into your understanding of today's degree, and you know it's the same exact, it's the same exact script that you saying right here, right? Then you might not have made no progress. It's not guaranteed. Maybe whatever you were saying when you first got the knowledge was so perfect that it never needed to be added on to, right? You know, no matter how much reality and the environment changed, it's possible. And it don't stop at just you now. I just that's a particular, that's a particular range for me. Where like you said, I like to see that's a good point to make that calculation. You see, October, November is too late. See, I want my idea to go to born. And when with every other calculation, you got short term stuff, right? Meaning I got stuff that I plan on doing on the God day, right? You know, I got stuff that I want to get done, right, before the end of April. I got stuff I want to get done this year, this decade, and just as a for a lifetime. So what is this here? You say so health. So A1C is a measurement of blood sugar over the past few months. Healthcare providers use it to help diagnose pre-diabetes and type 2 diabetes and monitor how well your diabetes plan is working. Hmm. Yeah, I don't think I ever had my A1C measured. This is we super quiet out there today. What's the why can't I see my why am I not seeing the comments over there too? Okay. I don't know. I guess maybe we do have to. I gotta go out and come back in. I gotta go out and come back in with a rant. I gotta go out and come back in with a rant. You know, just trying to be in a good mood, just trying to be in a good mood and freestyling. It appears that it's not. Okay, yeah, no, I see it. I used to not go to a doctor regularly or at all sometimes, nor have my blood checked. It has been better for me to know than when I had no clue. I mean, I don't know. I don't know how much difference it'll make for me because a lot of stuff I ain't doing. Like, maybe when I get to that road, when I get to that point, I see it differently. Uh, but it probably is time. Shit, I understand that God is taking your ideas and putting them into activation to bring about a manifestation. Yeah, that's the science of mathematics. And see, like I said, each one of those ciphers, right? Like I said, each number that when we dealing with today's date and how it relates to today's mathematics, right? Each one of those, digits changing represent a cipher being completed. So see, taking an idea, right, and making it born, right? So that the world can do the knowledge to the cipher that has been formed by that knowledge going to born, by that knowledge being complete. That's the science of mathematics. So just like, each cipher that you in, each cipher that I'm in, each cipher that I'm in, meaning each situation that I'm in, right? Each place that I'm in, you know what I'm saying? And uh, at any and all times. You know what I'm saying? I'm applying supreme mathematics to be born alive. So one of one of the easiest ways to be born alive is to know what stepping stage and what season you in. You know, in the science of reality. You know, cause see, like I said, knowing who you are, then you know what you're supposed to do. And see, if everybody that work for sanitation forget that they work for sanitation, they somehow they all think they work for transit. Then nobody's gonna pick up the garbage, and there's gonna be a whole bunch of confusion at the bus stop. Yeah, see, you see, smell goods. That's kind of how I look at it right now. You know what I mean? Like it's stuff that other people they partake in it. You know what I'm saying? You know, whether it's foods they eat or places they go or whatever. You know, and things that they do. That it's like, you know, look, I don't do that because you know I'm not gonna be. You know, I like all of these symptoms right here. I can't even. See, like, even though I know that's not all that it comes from, but you know, I don't really drink. Like, even recently, that's what I started doing. You know, I get my lemons and I make my own lemonade. You know, sometimes I had some ginger ale the other day, but you know, and then it's just certain times that you know I might get a soda, but it's not. That's not. You know, I got the picture with the filter in it. And then I got another picture that I keep that one filled up with water, and then sometimes I make the lemonade in there, where I put my own amount of sugar in. Now, other people they probably be like, "Yo, this lemonade it's not really sweet, man. This lemonade is trash, man. This lemonade is whack." But you know, all of that's levels of it, man. That's levels of it. You know, at the end of the day, right? You gotta look at your dietary law, right? Or look, the way I look at a lot of people's dietary law is look, if you're gonna kill yourself with what you eat, why you just don't eat pig too? See, like, you know, even the way, you know, when I got it, look, the raw foods, It's not just pig. The swine of the air, swine of the sea, pig was swine of the land. Let me tell you something. It's swine of the junk food and all that shit too, man. You said apple juice from concentrate ain't it? Adding juice, you said adding sugar to tea, cereal, oatmeal, grapefruit, sodas, breads, pastas, plus other crap did me dirty. See, it's all you see. Adding it to tea, cereal, oatmeal, grapefruits. See, I just said lemonade. Yeah, see that that's what I'm talking about. Whew. And then the way you put that there. See, that could be interpreted that you added sugar to soda, which would definitely be, you know what I'm saying? It's the science born. But has you never thought about that or considered that? See, I had to learn as we get older, gotta take care of yourself. Indeed, but I'm just saying, even before you get older, right? Right? Does it ever dawn on you that, look, salt on watermelon? It must be foreign or something. Where's that? Where's that customary? Yeah, but there's some things where it's like, look, if you're gonna eat that, salt on watermelon. See, I'm gonna tell you something, and it's I don't. I hope I'm not being offensive, but that sounds like some slave stuff. That sounds like, uh, you know, they had some watermelons that they probably they probably was going bad. You know, Massa ain't do what he was supposed to do with them in time, and so when they ate them, they put salt on it to kill some of the foul taste, maybe. Because I can't imagine why. Yeah, it's a flavor enhancer. Yeah, if the flavor is rotten, but because I can't imagine, uh, salt enhancing the flavor of watermelon. But hey, look, I digress. It's a lot of foods I don't like. So your mother was from Tennessee. I got a lot of these wrong foods from following my parents. I mean, listen, we all did to some degree. But it's various things. That's what I'm saying. Like whether you dealing with substances, foods, drinks, activities, people, situations, the swine of all that shit. And the swine of some of that other stuff would do you worse than pygmy. The swine and some of that other stuff would destroy your life, and all everybody around you. See, just like we dealing with when we deal with the science of fasting. When we deal with the science of fasting, right? And we say, look, it's all various things that you can fast from. See, like me, I come on here. See, so I gotta fast from talking sometimes. Talk too much. See, by the same token, there's swine of all those things. He said, I found out about diabetes in 2022. I had to refine how I was reading the label. Sugar levels in my drink choices was astronomical, but it was orange juice though. Yeah, you 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 know that is that's a you know that's one of those ways, right? Where we took from them everything except their language, and they continue to use language. So how many when you read the ingredients, right? Harmful how much harmful chemicals, right? Besides the sugar, how much harmful chemicals is on that label under a different name. Like I think it's like 40 different names for sugar. And see, I'm gonna tell you another thing you gotta be aware of. See, a lot of people go to the supermarket and buy junk food. You gotta be aware of that. A lot of people that's not, they don't really do no study and research into being vegan. A lot of the stuff that's at the supermarket, all that prepared stuff, that is junk food. vegan burgers, vegan franks, all of this stuff, you know, uh, so oils, gums, plastics are in the so-called foods. Yeah, now look, another thing you got to be careful with the labels, right? Is that you got food ingredients, and then you got industrial ingredients. Pesticides and herbicides. I mean, it's getting really bad. And see, no matter, well, I ain't gonna say no matter what kind, but you know, most of the domesticated animals is forced to live like pigs anyway. You know, at the end of the day, that's I don't know if you spiritual about it, right? But like I said, the swine of the air, the swine of the sea, the swine of the land, whatever it is, we don't deal with them because of how they live. Whew. The bioengineered food, and then there's another. There's bioengineered, and then there's bio. I gotta look it up, but there's another. They got a couple of designations there. Depending on I guess the mechanism of the engineering. But just in terms of they got a couple of different categories, right? So again, like I said, being aware that we took from them everything except their language, and so they continue to use they continue to use language. They have a couple of different categories to where they don't have to label it bioengineered, right? Which might be, certain labels you might automatically say, yeah, I don't want to partake in that. So they got a couple of different labels that, right, genetically modified. It's all so there's a new number out too. I can't recall. We went over it one time here on the channel, but I can't recall what it stood for. But when you look at fruit and it has that little sticker on it, the sticker got a number on it, right? Depending on the first digit in that number, right? It tells you whether the food, whether it's organic, if it has, pesticides, etc., etc. There's a new number out. from the neighborhood missed us by that much. 3D printing of food such as eggs. I think that didn't work out too good, but yeah, I did see that. Yeah, Sir Love, it was funny because the other day I was just thinking I ain't been in the hood in a minute, but I was up on I was up there by the aqueduct on University. Uh, whew, about 2 days ago. Floated through the hood real quick. Actually, I came past EV too. But you said the 3D it worked out. So what's the name? Aqueduct. Matter of fact, not the aqueduct, the reservoir. I don't know why I always call the reservoir the aqueduct. They still have ciphers over where? Uh, right, but not on the Clinton side though. The Clinton side is that's on the north side of the aqueduct that don't even come all the way up there, but yeah, that's Mashula Parkway, the Mashula Parkway side, Cedric Avenue, all of that. Not over there. On the south side, uh, by where Walton is, in Lehman College. But yeah, though the 3D printed food, right? Do they have any what's the names? Because that's another thing you gotta watch, right? They have some Walton High School. They have some uh, they got some genetically modified salmon, right? The genetically modified salmon is sold under the name Aquavantage. See, I think and because this the whole genetically modified thing, right, is a little bit of a marriage between the food supply and the pharmaceutical stuff. A little bit. So that's how they sell medicine. Where the medicine, it has a chemical name or whatever, right? Now that chemical might be sold under three different names for three different conditions. And then that's how they use language, right, to do what they gotta do. So just saying that, this 3D printed food, right, who got it? And what what do they let's stay away from them. Let's let's not get that brand. You said genetically modified. No, genetically modified and farm raised is those is different. used to walk through Walton and Lehman every day. So yeah, you was right around the corner there. You used to rest. If you used to walk through there every day, you was right around the corner from Raheem and Laquan and all that. Our God sincere says it's getting harder and harder to find fruit with seeds. Let me tell you something. You know, you just jogged my memory. The very first time I heard about genetically modified foods, right, had to be, I think, the 6th grade. And we had this class called Current Events. And at the time, they were saying that they was trying to make square tomatoes. Because they were saying that the square tomatoes, they could stack them into a crate. They could stack more of them into a crate. Now, I don't know whatever happened. I don't know whatever happened to the square tomatoes. Right? I guess that didn't work out. But, you know, in terms of the fruit without the seeds, yeah, that does appear to be taken over. And you know what's funny? I don't know if that's all over, but in New York, right, you got these fruit stands that's out there that you know you usually see, um, you know, Arabs or you see Indians, you know, with the fruit stands, and you know they got suppliers that come by and drop the fruit off to them, right? And so this brother that I know, he wanted to start a fruit stand, and he got in touch with the supplier, right? And so uh, he's telling the supplier that he needs watermelons, right? Like I'm standing right there, he's on the phone, right? So uh, the dude asked him, he said, so, you know, where you gonna set your stand up at, right? So he tells him, yeah, I'm gonna have it in Harlem, right? So he, the supplier tells him, and the supplier, you can tell he's Arab, right? Because his accent, right? He says, you know, black people like seeds in their watermelon, right? They like watermelon with seeds. Yeah. For some reason, man, we couldn't stop laughing. We couldn't stop laughing at that. Like, first of all, you thought you needed to tell us that? We're just saying that, hey, look, people know how we do. You said there's a clip of square watermelon? Yeah, that would be, listen, I don't doubt it because, you know, at least the claims that they make. Like I saw something, I didn't get a chance to look at it yet, but they claim that they made a dire wolf. See, all I can tell you, if you're new to the knowledge, right? Don't let none of this technology fuck your mind up, right? To think that, you know, knowledge and wisdom don't born understanding, or that there's some other way to born understanding the knowledge and wisdom, or that somehow life can come from a concoction of chemicals in a lab. Life can only come from life. Like none of that shit don't ever change the rules. Ain't nothing they finding on DNA or none of that is changing the rules. As long as you clear on that, right? You know, you shouldn't get too confused. You know, I doubt you get too confused, you know, dealing with the research and that stuff. But, you know, that's what ends up happening, you know, you know, when people start thinking like that. If you start thinking that, you know, well, look, I got a machine, right? I got a machine that I could ejaculate into this machine, right? And then the machine will somehow nurture a baby, or you know, just those type of ridiculous ideas. That's, you know, he said unless you got your own farm, it's getting harder and harder. Period to eat right. Yeah, that's pretty much. Sham God King said, "Is it him or is the volume low?" I don't know. Is the volume low, y'all? Did anybody else? Does anybody else have low volume? But yeah, you're right about that, man. Yeah, it could. I mean, see, I don't like to turn up the volume too low. Then you get all type of feedback in the what's the name. You know, I am a little bit far back from the microphone. I don't know if y'all could tell today, but you know, I just look at just a very good alert just came through on my phone right there that said that there's about to be some kind of limitation on the congestion pricing. I don't know if y'all know about congestion pricing, but they're trying to charge people money if you drive below 60th Street. Shit, I'm not gonna tell you. See, I devised, I devised my own way, but I can't tell you. You know, but you can you they gave you a couple of outs. But yeah, that science right there, though. What you said, unless you got your own farm, it's getting harder and harder. Period to eat right. I mean, that's a certain science right there. I mean, it's not a certain science. I mean, you know, food, clothing, and shelter. I mean, it is what it is. You know what I'm saying? The 12 Jews is not our lesson, but those principles are in our lessons. And you know, those is just things that you know, the rest of them is kind of empty without the other ones. You see what I'm saying? Like, look, you can have all the knowledge, wisdom, and understanding that you want, right? But see, if you in jail, then you don't got freedom, justice, and equality. See, they taking care of your food, clothing, and shelter, but you're not around the people that you love and shit. You ain't at peace up in there. See, any of them you have, like, look, a person could be mad rich and have the finest foods, clothes and mansions and shit, right? Look at Puff Daddy. See, his equality was all fucked up. You see what I'm saying? Your knowledge, wisdom, and understanding that you was applying, and you see where that could get you. So that goes along with it. You know what I'm saying? And just in terms of things that we gotta apply ourselves to acquire, you know, with the knowledge, wisdom, and understanding. Sharon Love said in How to Eat to Live, Elijah Muhammad said they was coming with this when he was talking about the soybean. He said it's past 59th Street. Now it's past 60th Street. They did that on purpose because they wanted to catch everybody coming over the Queensbridge. Like, that's a particular beef. That's a particular beef, right? Is that people that it's like, bro, I'm not going downtown. Like, if you come over the Queensbridge and you go north, they still charging you. See, that's one of the reasons why Trump, a lot of his properties is right there on his properties is between like 56th Street and 63rd Street. But at the end of the day, man, uh, it's the level of control that somebody can exert over you if they control your food supply. That's what you know. Don't get me wrong, Felix Almanzar. What you saying just in terms of eating right. You know what I'm saying? That's not lost on me neither. But I'm saying ultimately, right? The problem is the level of control somebody can exert over you if they control your food. When it hits that on the head, that's why fasting is important. To be able to put that in perspective and keep it in perspective, right? You know, but even with fasting, right? Food is not like clothing. Meaning depending on where you at, right? You don't need clothing, right? Just for bare minimum survival. You know, of course, in different climates you will, but in every climate, in every situation, right? You're gonna need food just to bare minimum survive. You know what I'm saying? Like you got people that, uh, you know, unfortunately, some of them they don't see it that way, but I consider it unfortunate. You got people that's been living without shelter, for decades. At least on the level that we accustomed to, what we call a home, right? We've you know uh, 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 that's how we look at shelter. You said people was just going crazy about the eggs. I mean, listen, eggs did go right through the roof. I you know I'm a fan of pancakes and French toast. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if we got any vegans on here or how many people, but look, that's I like. Like even I don't eat candy, but yeah, I like my pancakes and my French toast with eggs and butter and syrup. So I'm quite upset. I'm quite upset about the situation with the eggs too, sir. Love. I, I don't I don't know what to tell you, man. But you know, I'm waiting for heads to roll. I don't know what could possibly have gone that wrong. Why the price of eggs had to quintuple or whatever happened there. But that's one of my like in the mornings. I do have my morning workout. Then I like my French toast with my eggs. Right? So you said the guy I shine is becoming a breatharian. All right, stop compressors. Everyone, see, I need the thing now to go. I gotta get my sound effects back. Okay, so the guy I shine is becoming a breatharian. Now, first of all, uh, you're not talking about you talking about my eye shine that goes in the ocean and gets his own sea moss. Say growing up, I remember my grandmother growing her own vegetables in the backyard. I mean, look, that's look, we going to have it's. So you gotta remember, man, we've grown accustomed to a lot of the illusions. We've grown accustomed to a lot of things that is only possible through inequality. said an 18 pack of eggs got up to 11.90. Now it's back to 7.90. See, I'm gonna have to send you some money. I'm 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 gonna have to send you some money, and you mail them eggs up, cause that ain't the price of it. That's listen. If if it had only topped out at 11.90, but listen, this breatharian thing. For the people out there, I can tell you this, right? The body can't go past 6. Yeah, certain love, certain love. It was $18, right? That's what I'm saying. Wait, look, in certain love, that was $18 for a dozen, not 18. Listen, and that's in the hood. That's why I said if you got them for 7.90, look, certain love. I think we just found a hustle. I think meet me meet me on Fordham in the concourse tomorrow. Hey, listen, it's good. How long it's gonna take you to get the eggs up here? We can make we can make some sweet change right there. You got you can get 18 for $8. But see, you threw me off with that right there. But see, the body can't go past 6. And see, there's a whole lot of things that happens with, man. We see our ideas, right? You know what I'm saying? We got ideas, right? Where look, you know how they say the 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 mind is willing. How that saying go? Where the mind is willing, but the body's not able. The body can't go past 6. See, you gotta, yeah, these things they manifest in each other, but see, you gotta be careful. You gotta know what you're doing, man. See, in my mind, right? In my mind, look, pardon my French here, right? KO Supreme, what's the deal? KO Supreme, I'm working on my abs too. Not that, my abs are straight, but I'm saying I gotta keep them straight because I know everybody YNs. See, to be in the YNs, you gotta have abs, man. That's what I just want to tell a lot of y'all old cats. That's the reason y'all disqualified. Y'all ain't got abs. You know what I'm saying? You know, the problem, is some of us, the abs is from pills. So we don't want to go that route. But I'm just telling you, if you ain't got abs, don't even try to apply with the YNs. But yeah, see, you can't mix. You gotta be careful, right? Because look, like I said, pardon my French here, right? But just try to just hear me out and see if you understand what I'm saying. See, in my mind, right, I believe I can fly. See, there's a lot of things, right, where you say that, okay, look, uh, in your mind, you may conceive of that, but look, physically, you got some work to do to cover that, to cover the ground between where you at right now and you flying. It's called levitate. I mean, look. Okay, if a person, tell me that they think about levitating, right? Can you at least dunk a basketball? Like, could you jump real high? What I'm saying is that there's some steps and stages. I don't know what they are because I can't levitate, right? But there's some steps and stages between where we at right now and levitation, right? And so I would expect you to at least be, you know what I'm saying? Like if a person say, yo, look, like back in the day that shit happened, person would be like, yo, by the summer, right? By the summer, I'm gonna be dunking it, right? Okay, can you at least touch the rim? Like, could you at least touch the rim before you? So then I can say, oh shit, yeah, you almost there. So that's it. So in those types of ways, and see, in the same way, right? There's things of the mind, right? Like for instance, right? Somebody in your family, right? They might be like, yo, how does outfit look on me, right? And look, you not into that. You not into that what they got on, but you know that they into it, and in their mind, they to the nines right now, right? So what you thinking in your mind, right? You can't always say that. See, your first idea, you like, yo, man, almost, you know, if somebody say something, look, it could even be a child, right? If something happens, it's like, yo, man, I'm going to kill this child. But you don't bring that into the physical world, right? You're able to destroy that idea before you born something that's going to be born dead, right? So you got to do the same thing physically. There's certain things that you may think of that's like, okay, nah, let me not do that, right? Let me not jump off the roof, right? Let me destroy that idea before I bring it to born, because the result, So just remember that the body can't go past 6. You know what I'm saying? The body is, look, the body is a part of all this right here. And see, just like everything else and all of this right here have to be replenished and rejuvenated, that's just a science of the physical universe. A breatharian means that you only receive nutrients from the air. Like you don't eat no food, you got vegetarian, vegan, pescatarian, various. Breatharian, right, means that you just breathe air. But there's mathematics, G. And see, you know, uh, you know, the way I deal with things, right? I sure and prove that I'm God by going according to the laws of mathematics. See, in these various holy books, right? God shows and proves his power by breaking the laws of mathematics, right? Parting the Red Sea and making floods with extra water where there was no water. The various, right? Breaking the rules. So in terms of people partaking on their various journeys, right? Just remember that uh, the body can't go past 6. That's just a part of the reality. You know what I'm saying? Just the planet, right? Those nutrients have to be replenished, right, in order for the ground to remain fertile. You understand what I'm saying? The body works by mechanisms, and those mechanisms require you to have energy. So when I and I'm gonna look for the guy's number. I think I got his number, but I'm definitely gonna build with the guy about that. Uh, I'm not a dietary expert, but I am concerned with anyone who attempts to become a breatharian. You said, is the science showing and proving the work? What science? Of breatharianism? I mean, work for what? Look, if you just want to be down with the YNs, yeah, you could get abs like that. I don't know how long they're gonna last, but but when you say proving the work for what? See, full restriction, is healthy. Especially under control. Um, it gives the body a chance to rest. Digestion is uh, look at how much intestines you got. Look at how much from your mouth and your taste buds all the way, you know, to your rectum, right? All of that is an operating organ, right? You gotta remember, your liver, your kidneys, all of that is a part of digestion, right? In one way or the other. So that's a lot of, just blood and mental energy and everything. That's one of the reasons why you catch the itis, right? Is because so much of your body's resources had to be devoted to digestion that try to make you shut everything else down. Right? That's one of the reasons that happens. Uh, so, of course, when you don't have that much physical energy being devoted to digestion, then it could be devoted to other things like healing. You know what I'm saying? And just, your body rebalancing on its own. You know what I'm saying? So, uh, people restricting their diets, right? Yeah, it gives the body a chance to heal up. A lot of times we don't realize it, but it's things that we eating that we mildly allergic to. You know what I'm saying? So it might don't cause, your throat to swell up where you gotta be sent to the hospital, right? But it might cause some other kind of inflammation or condition or whatever. All of those things right? You know, restricting your diet and fasting and all those types of things like that is a benefit that, right? Uh, but the fact of the matter is that the body is a machine. You know, there's energy in, energy out. You know what I'm saying? And all of that energy doesn't get in there through air. You know what I'm saying? And you gotta remember when you eating, right? Like everything that you doing, right? You know, you moving around and everything, and you expending. You know, we consist of, you know, the 92 natural elements is in us, but then you know all the various things we doing. And remember when you was little, you used to sweat so much and be sore on your skin. See, as you expending all of that, you gotta replace it. He said vegetarianism was founded on the belief that this energy is all the human body needs to survive, not food or drink. Followers claim that if they are conscious of doing so, they can inhale prana through breath and sunlight. Yeah, I mean, you know, look, that's these is great concepts. And see, the mind can do that. So yeah, the new channel, right? From the root to the fruit, son love is that's you know, there's a program that you know the brothers from the Office of Cultural Management, you know, they got a particular program where they reach out to the brothers in the penitentiaries across the country, right? Because you know, in there you got a situation where, depending on where a person is, you could be in there with, uh, you know, somebody who walked with Allah, or you could be in there with, you know, nobody in there ever seen 120 lessons. So you know, because there's you know, lack of you know, a organized way for brothers to get the knowledge in there. You know, these brothers started working with the various administrations and everything. So somehow or another, right? You know, it came to the point of the brothers in there got some kind of pads or something, right? And uh, you know, they wanted to recommend a YouTube channel, right? So you know, fortunately, they you know, it was like, you know, look, you already got a fantastic channel there, right? Let's not say fantastic. You already got a channel there, right? So you know, what about your channel? Would you do it? But you know, on this channel, see, like I said, the brothers is, you know, initially that's involved with the program. Anybody can log on, right? But the brothers who's involved with the program that they dealing with, they in the penitentiary, right? So we don't want we don't want to reflect negatively on them when they get to the board or nothing, right? So we're gonna have a channel where, you know, we're gonna keep it clean. You know, I'm not gonna entertain myself with the you know, the various people, the various trolls. You know, we're gonna keep the trolls out of it over there, and you know, we probably gonna keep it a little simpler, little more of the knowledge and wisdom. You know what I'm saying? But it's definitely going to be. I think it's going to be a type of resource that, you know, everybody probably be able to enjoy at the end of the day. And then, you know, it's going to be, you know, we're going to have. I'm gonna attempt to get this machine that I seen. You know, it's a machine where you can simulcast all over it, right? simulcast, various YouTube channels. You know what I mean? So, uh, if anything, I would say that channel, this channel is kind of, fly or die over here. You know what I'm saying? That channel, I think is probably end up being shaped up more for, new people. People that's just getting an introduction. You know, like if you don't know anything, right? If you just came to find out about the 5% and you don't speak up, like if you speak up in the comments, that's one thing. Or if you come to the location where I'm at, that's another thing. But if you just try to, you know, discern what we about, it depends on what live you tune into and what time you tune in, right? If it's troll time, then you might be like, man, what's that? You know what I'm saying? So you said according to Jasmuheen, who's Jasmuheen? The first step to becoming a vegetarian is to become a vegetarian. Next, you should eliminate dairy and eggs and become vegan. Yeah, see, that's what I'm saying. Balance. You can't just eliminate stuff. You know what I'm saying? I mean, meaning that, depending, I mean, unless you was just consuming some type of poison. But what I'm saying is, if you was drinking 3 liters of soda every day, you can't just stop drinking 3 liters of soda. You got to start drinking 3 gallons of water or 2 gallons or whatever you replacing it with. So then you should adopt a raw food diet, followed by a fruit only diet, then a liquid only diet, then finally prana, eating only air. I mean, listen. Okay, so this is good right here. You said me and the God Wise are working on getting a class at the school. At the moment, we're just striving to hear back about the day and time. Okay, that not to get too deep in your business, right? But who'd you ask? Who'd you ask about that? But who you working on? Who are you working on that with? Let's say that. You said what's the name of the name of the channel is from the root to the fruit. I mean, let me see if I can. Let me see if I can put the link. Mm. Hold up. What did I do with the channel? looking for the link here to put in the box. But hold up, let me get back over here because I did wanna. So you said born justice. All right, listen. Here's the deal, right? Uh, Mondays and Tuesdays, right? Well, what time? What time did y'all was y'all talking about? Right? Mondays and Tuesdays, of course, you know I'm sporadic, but those is my days from 7 on, right? Wednesdays, uh, Wednesdays 12. That's about 12 to 4, something like that. You got Our Freedom Born and Divine Prince. Thursdays, I think Sunya has moved up to 5 o'clock. Uh, Fridays, they since started having something there. I think it's at 7. Uh, Saturdays, 2 to 4 is a live shot. Sundays, 2 to 5 is boxing. 6 to 9, 6 to 9, 6 to 10 is HVAC, plumbing, and electricity. So, what days, what days and times was you talking about? Saturdays, I think what time is Elisha over? 4. I think Elisha is 2 to 4. So when here's 1 and 3, all right. And so then what y'all want to do? 4. Y'all want to start at 3 or 4. 4 to 6. All right. When you want to start? 'Now it's born day. All right, let's do it. So y'all gonna be there with you King Justice. You King Justice is on the weekends, as of right now, anyway. But oh yeah, let me see if I can find this channel for y'all. I needed to deal with that real quick though. Da-da-da-da-da-da. I'm trying to I guess I'm not in the algorithm. Cause I didn't notice. Hold on, let's see if this works. I think I hate this shit for myself, huh? See, and look, it's if I looked on my phone, I would be able to see it. But if I look on my phone, guess what? Oh well, there goes the first one in anyway. Wow, this is crazy. I'm actually, I'm this is kind of showing me how much uh how much I've actually accomplished with this channel right here, meaning the Random Jewels channel, because uh you know with if you just start typing in Darkim, the rest of it comes right here on the AI tells you that it's me. Like if you start searching for my name, you don't have to type my whole name for it to come up right here in the suggestions. But with this right here, I can't even I can't even find I can't even find this channel, by typing it in the box. So uh, that actually kind of changes the way I look at this channel a little bit. Let me see. I might be able to. Let's see if. Where this is. You're gonna have to look this. Oh, wait. I know what's here. I know what's here. We went through all of this right here, and I actually know where it's at. All right, that's the link right there to the new channel. Whew. That's see. That's what happens. That's what happens when you deal with the Amish. That's what happens when you deal with the Amish. It took me a little while to get that together. A flyer for the boxing class. yeah, we do need to do some advertising, but see, right now, we gotta get some stuff together over there. I get some stuff. Look, I got it. You know, now that you, now, now that you jumped in with both feet, there's some things I gotta let you know. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, in the meantime, uh, we do got some things we gotta straighten up. But look, I got some other programs. I got some stuff uh, dealing with the board of education and everything. Those are some of the ideas that I'm marching forward with. Where uh, it's a lot of resources out there, uh, for the city in terms of the things that we doing. Like right now we got a couple of really young kids. Generally speaking, the boxing class, that's attracted, mostly kids under 12. You know what I'm saying? And so it's like, yeah, we show them how to box and everything and all of that, or different things. If they come in, we're gonna start doing the music and all of that too. But then at the same time, it's other skills, other knowledge that they need to acquire in order to excel. You understand what I'm saying? Meaning, like, you came to the street academy, you got the knowledge of yourself, but you also got life skills that you was able to, you know, get into college and then excel, at whatever level of life, that's up to you. But in terms of the opportunity that was provided, we want to get back to doing that type of stuff. So, uh, that's the big things on the agenda is to, expand those physical programs because we got that, we got the basketball, but because we got a couple of students, from the time, when we started that, people that, they graduated high school, been through college and all of that, and they started with us. Not started, but they had their time when they came through the channel. Yeah, that channel from the root to the fruit. Like I said, especially if you know, like I said, over there, I'm gonna be a little more organized. Like over here, I basically, before I sit down, like when I sit down right here, I type in a title and we go with that. I don't even when sometimes I type in the what's the name, it just sounds good. I don't even know what I'm gonna say about it. But on this other channel, we're gonna have a little bit more organization on the syllabus there because, like I said, it's involved with a greater program where I would rather stick with the syllabus that they got rather than confuse people. Of course, I'm not gonna just be saying anything because they tell me to say it, but Alamel, what is the deal? So, this one right here, like I said, I'm just getting back warmed up. Just getting back warmed up. You know what I mean? Probably tomorrow. Which tomorrow, I'm gonna attempt to do more than one live. I'm gonna make it attempt. I'm gonna see how it works out. You know what I mean? But right now we shaking the rust off. We shaking the rust off. But we got any questions? Last questions before we get out of here. Which I'm sure that everything that I've manifested has been so crystal clear. It's been so crystal clear that I'm sure we don't have any questions. Should let you hear something. What are you talking about? Tomorrow, I mean, I guess it depends. Cause you know what I figured out too is that, see, I'm so used to all this setup now, right? That it's like, yeah, sometimes I'm being too fancy, right? Sometimes we need to go back to back in the days. Remember back in the days when it used to just be me and the camera. That was it. Just me and the phone. Just real quick. You know what I'm saying? But now I done got so used to having my whole this setup that look, even today I was ready to come on, but I was like, nah, I gotta charge up. I gotta charge up all my devices and all my lights. I gotta hook up the microphone and all this stuff. You know what I mean? So that's what I'm gonna be doing. That's what I figured out. So we probably, you know, I looked at it like that probably cuts down on those times, like the last 2 weeks where I really didn't have time to be setting up like this, right? But just, quick come on and, at least because, these is ultimately, right, these are classes. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes it gets down to just, we kind of just, kicking it. But at the end of the day, that's the purpose. You know what I'm saying? Because otherwise, it's just, and I got my what's the names too. I got my graffiti series and all of that. I gotta get some more footage. I saw some stuff. I didn't have my camera. So yeah, at any rate, you wanna go ahead, wind this one down, right? Uh, you know, like I said, uh, put the topics in the comments. A lot of times, if y'all got topics that y'all want to cover, you know what I'm saying? Because uh, I think it's there we covered. See, that's what I keep saying. That look, the amount of time that we've been on here, right? Everybody should be on point. Especially the people that's, you got people that's been rocking the entire time. To the point where I'm saying like this, right? To the point where look at it like this, right? It's not my custom, right? Let's say if any one of y'all, right, as an individual, right? Let's say we had that individual relationship, right, where, you know, I'm teaching you, right? You wouldn't be around me for 5 years questioning me. Not to say that, what I'm saying, it wouldn't always be a question that, I might can answer for you, you might can answer for me, but I'm saying that, in the you coming around, you ain't got your own answers. Like it might be an answer that I got particular expertise or experience in, I'm saying. That you wouldn't be around me without the ability to use your own wisdom and understanding. You wouldn't be around me being the deacon talking about amen every time I say something. And by amen, I mean, Bill God, that's peace, God. That's what I mean when I say saying amen every time I speak. See, you be having your own stuff to say. So there's that part. You see, look, I'm consistent. I'm consistent. If people love me or hate me, I'm consistent. So is the internet is not the place where you come to get the special treatment, right? That you wouldn't have got in person. Right? Because ultimately, like I said, man, all this stuff is with the universe, man. It's not with me. All this stuff, man, your family, your neighborhood, your community, the rest of the world, it's not with me, man. See, because I could disagree with you, right? But if I see you go out there, right? If I see you go out there and build, then look, that's the most I can say is I disagree with you. See, a lot of people, they be talking crazy that they never want to go out there and build. They never want to go out there and build. They want to change what we've built. Because in their name is nothing. And in our name is everything. But see, you ain't never see me with a stable of people like that. Like there's some people that, because we've worked together so much on other things, right? Because we've worked together on other things, that may come up, right? But there's nobody that that, who's that person? Oh, that's Darkim student. No, I don't have nobody like that. I don't know nobody like that. I tell you, my own children say, look, well, when we interact out there in the world with people that say 5%, we will never bring up your name. Now with them, it would be cool if they do that, right? I mean, I really tell the truth. That would be my advice, but they like, yeah, nah. It was like the most they say if somebody asks them like, well, how you how you got to know? They just say, it's my family. I'm surprised when nobody never say, well, who's your family? See, because that's the science of equality. See, don't just say we the same, be the same. See, anybody can say they my ear like they can say, but nah, you be the same. Then you ain't even gotta say it. See, there's things you gotta realize. There's things that we don't do for that purpose, but that don't mean that that thing ain't important. See, like we don't do things for the face value, right? But that don't mean that how things look is not important. So at any rate, everybody that made it this far, do the each one teach one. You know what I'm saying? You know, if you see the link for that channel, you know what I mean, post the link for that channel for us, because we're gonna try to build that one up too. You know what I'm saying? And then so then I can have that clean channel, right? Then we got this channel, and then look, we're going to start getting to the city sciences too. I know I keep saying that. I know I keep saying that, but we're gonna get into the city sciences, right? But just saying that, you know, help me out with that right there. And in the meantime, between time, I'm gonna sign off and say peace, and I'm gonna see y'all, man, Yana.